Thank you.
Okay, we're recording. In case something really amazing shows up that we want to preserve for something. Anyway, so let's start with a broken item. Cindy, Solar Radio, why don't you tell us about your broken radio? Solar Radio.
Okay, so...
Can you spotlight her, please, Wayne?
I will.
Thank you.
All right, so I've got this, one of those little emergency radio things. It's got the hand crank on the back and the solar panel on it. And after a while, it stopped working. And I guessed that the battery was worn out. Because, you know, it being a solar radio, it charges a little bit, uncharges, charges, uncharges, and eventually I figure that'll wear out a battery. So I took the battery out, and it's one of these things, and so I got a replacement for it. And put the replacement for it in, and put it in the sun, and it still didn't work. And so my guess was that the battery like this came uncharged and that the solar panel, this little piddly thing, wasn't enough to give it that first initial charge. So I tried to bring it to one of those batteries plus places to see if they could charge the battery to start with, and they couldn't do it. So I have a battery that's brand new and a radio that still doesn't work.
Cindy, have you tried cranking the handle to charge it up as an alternative?
Yes, I mean, I probably didn't do it very long, but now even if I crank it and it doesn't work at all. It used to be that it would work, you know, it would work for a little while and then it would stop working. But I couldn't get the charge to last long enough to, you know, be a useful radio, because unless you were sitting there cranking it while you listen to the radio. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
And just to ask you one more question, which we've been asking a lot recently, do you have a meter, a multimeter, a voltmeter?
Yes.
Wow. Good.
It's pretty like new in the package, but yes.
That's going to help us a lot. Okay.
All right. So I've created a breakout room called Electrical with the solar radio. We'll see what else goes there. Thank you. Let's see next. Where'd my participants go? Let me look at gallery again. And how about Anya with the blender?
Hi there. So handheld blender like this. It had two of these appendages, I don't know what you call them. And one's a potato masher, one was like a bit more of a whizzy make a soup kind of blender head. And I was blending dates maybe 2 years ago. This has been sitting on my shelf for a long time. I was blending dates, and that wasn't a good idea. It was my own fault, and it just, you know, and that was that. And nothing since. It just went fut.
Have you attempted to open it lately, or no?
No, I'm a little bit useless. I don't want to be useless. But I did phone someone locally whose number I got, who fixes like small appliances, but I phoned them about 3 times and left messages and never heard back. And I figure if they didn't do it, then, and that's as far as I got, which again is fairly useless.
Yeah. This is going to be, this is the stupid question of the day, but did the dates have the stones in?
They didn't.
Could they have? Right, okay. So it was a stupid question, but it would have jammed up the blender and probably burnt out the motor. But
I'm guessing that's what's happened with the motor. So I'm just hoping it's something, that could just be replaced.
Does it hum at all when you turn it on, or is it?
No, nothing at all.
So I'm gonna take a first stab that this is more electrical than mechanical. Do you have a multimeter with you?
No, I didn't even know what it is. You know,
you can borrow Cindy's. She has one for her radio, but
yeah, just flip it over.
Long time to download.
You're in Fife. That's a part of the world I know well.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, we'll get boring about that. So, is this a mains powered appliance, or has it got a battery pack that clips onto it?
Mains powered.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ooh, mains powered. I just took the Krupp's equivalent of these apart, and there's 2 screws in the very top that are hidden underneath plastic. So there's a disassembly trick. I'm not sure if this Kenwood one is like that one. Ugh. Oh well, getting inside. So I think we all agree that probably the thermal fuse on the motor has probably burned out, and so these things are, because they're waterproof, they're really hard to get inside. So.
I want to go before that though and just get the plug apart, make sure the fuse. Have you got any spare fuses for the plug, for the mains plug?
No.
Haven't. That would be a start point, because Peter may well be right. It may well be a thermal fuse, but it might also have just popped the fuse in the plug. And in which case, we're going to talk you through taking a fuse out of another appliance. That's what we're going to do.
Wait a minute. There are fuses in the plugs in the UK?
Oh, yes. Yeah, sorry, we're like that over here. Oh, I did a thing on
Really?
Oh, Peter, come on. I did a thing on UK plugs and I waved one at you. I haven't got one handy now, and showed you what huge things they are. We're very different, very different.
Can you show us the plug?
Well, if there's a fuse, and that justifies its hugeness.
Yeah, and there's the fuse. You lever out that plastic bit. Yeah, you lever out the plastic bit and there's a fuse in there.
That's amazing.
See,
I didn't know about that.
We started doing that around 1960, so it's been around a long time. We just find it so dangerous coming over to America.
This is exciting.
All right.
There you go.
Oh my gosh.
And that's a 5-amp fuse, isn't it?
I didn't know that. Well, of course I didn't.
Well, what we're going
I
to
have
do
a neighbour who has everything. Shall I just ask her to lend me a fuse and test that out sort of tomorrow
possibly.
or something? Is that the first?
Well, we're probably going to be talking you through this when you go into the room where we help you. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we will either get you to remove a fuse from another appliance, preferably a lamp, or we'll ask you to go through to your neighbour and borrow a fuse. Preferably one that's got 5 amps on it, or 5 or 3 will do. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Wonderful. Anya, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll learn more about that. That's awesome. Okay. Next person with a thing. Alakadeep Kumar with your headphone.
Hi, thanks for taking the call. So, a headphone is pretty useful at these times. And what happened is I generally carry this headphone in my bag and you put it in. So it doesn't look so broken because it's a mechanical brake, because it works in terms of I can hear the sound and the microphone also works. But what I tried to do was I could feel it come out initially from here. I'm sorry, my background is black and this is also black. And you can see there is a break here, right? So if I just tape it, which should do its job, the problem is if I put it on, it's not tight enough. So it still doesn't fix it.
Okay.
So,
can you zoom in on the piece that's broken with better lighting so we can see it?
Okay.
So is there something where it would go together if it had the proper adhesive?
So yeah, it's a. So I found the.
I would just use duct tape for that one.
I see. That should be. I mean, it's a plastic brake.
Yep.
This one. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, my recommendation would be to buy some fiberglass reinforced tape, and that would probably hold it together for, you'd have to really do a good application, but they make this strapping tape and also some repair tape that has fibers in it, and then you could probably get it to hold and be useful again.
All right.
Okay.
So
Do you happen to have a soldering iron? Okay, because there is a way you can use that to actually melt the plastic and you weld it back together.
That would be.
And it's fairly effective if you do a good job.
great.
You can use a hairdryer too.
Yeah.
So the other thing you could also do, if you weren't concerned about appearance, would be like put a reinforcing wire and some wire ties, but we can get into details on that in a.
Okay. Thank you.
So
I think he needs a piece of spring steel on this one, guys, or some plumber's tape or something. He needs some like 4 or 5 inch piece of metal he's got to put outside it that's kind of springy, don't you think?
Yep.
But this is mechanical.
Yeah, this is mechanical.
It's mechanical, yeah.
Great. Arkadeep will put you in that room. Maybe we'll have other kinds of projects. Well, what kind of glue or fastener or whatever, because that seems to be a theme.
This doesn't work.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Let's see. Who else? Lisa, sewing machine.
Okay. I was here before with this sewing machine, and we decided it was either the motor or the pedal. And I didn't have a multimeter then, but I borrowed my dad's. So I kind of need to be talked through to how to test the pedal to see if it's that.
Okay, so electrical, possibly electrical problem with your sewing machine. Cool.
Sewing machines.
Yep.
Hello.
Yes. Okay, thanks, Lisa.
I don't know whether I could volunteer for that one. I have got, well, as you can see behind me, I've got 12 sewing machines in the place, and I do quite a lot of work on sewing machines.
Okay, Nick, you're signed up when we do the breakout rooms. You'll see a sewing machine one. Good. What else? How about Nicola with toaster?
Hi, everyone, and thanks for having me. So I have a giant Breville toaster that what I'm just going to call the lever doesn't stay. It just springs right back up. And I have a theory that it sort of went kaput around the time my 2-year-old son decided how fun it was to put chunks of cereal and other things in the toaster. Very far with it, but we have a theory that it's sort of, I hope it's like a physical issue, that the lever here is just jammed, like it doesn't depress all the wood. Feels like it does depress all the way down, but it just doesn't stay. So it's been a bit of a mystery on that regard, but otherwise it works because we figured out a hack where I put a giant mixing bowl. When it's plugged in, I put a giant mixing bowl against the lever, and it actually will work. So we still have toast, so that's good news, but it does require additional bits and pieces to make that work. So
what about the toast cereal?
It's going to be the catch that holds the lever down, which is a combination of a bit of plastic and sometimes an electromagnet. And it's quite possible that your son has deposited something in there that's got caught. We had a bit of a prize for the person that brought one in that had a bumblebee stuck underneath it. The bee had flown in, and that's why. But it will be, that's probably what we'll start looking at, I think.
Right, good. So I'm going to put mechanical question mark for your toaster, but it could be an electrical problem because fancy toasters with microprocessors have little magnets, electrically controlled magnets can hold them in place too. So we will see. Cool, thank you for bringing us the project. Let's see what else we have. Is that everyone with projects so far?
Did Cole show up with his keyboard?
I'm going to ask. Ulf, do you have a broken thing, or do you have are you a coach?
I'm mostly here to listen.
Just to listen, okay, great.
Yeah, indeed, I don't have anything to fix.
Welcome, excellent. And Cohen Leung, coach or broken thing? Okay, quiet person.
We had a paper cutter and a scooter, Wayne?
Paper cutter canceled, and the scooter is Lisa's son's, the sewing machine ladies.
Yes, so, he's just decided he needs to get a new one. So.
Oh, no, please.
We're not supposed to allow that.
Yeah.
I know.
Put him in front of the screen, we'll shame him.
I do enough of that already, I think.
Yeah. No.
There he is in the background, actually.
Yeah, just seeing him, shame him.
Yeah. Let him go. Come fix your scooter, man.
Right. But if there's time after I do the sewing machine, then maybe
Absolutely.
Yeah,
good.
Well, as we wait for more people to join, we have four projects right now we can jump into. So I'll tell you what, I'll open up the breakout rooms, and if you have the broken thing for that room, you definitely should go there. And if you're a coach, take your choice, and I'll watch to make sure we have at least one coach for every room, okay? So you should get a pop-up that says the breakout rooms are open. And do you have the choice to go join those people?
Yeah, join a breakout room, it says.
Join the breakout room, you get to pick them.
Okay, you want us to do that now?
Yeah, and some of us will stay here if more people join, and if not, we'll come find you in rooms too. So let's see what happens. If someone comes up with the thing, I will, by all means.
Wayne,
yes.
Wayne, I don't see a pop-up for joining the breakout room.
The button in the bottom.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at the bottom.
Frank, did you upgrade Zoom? You needed to upgrade Zoom in the last week.
I believe I did.
Okay, I can move you.
Whenever I am prompted, I upgrade.
Okay. Where would you like to go, Frank? Solar radio, blender, headset, toaster, sewing machine.
Sewing machine.
Sewing machine. Okay.
Oh,
did
if I understand correctly, you're saying at the bottom where there's the various icons, there should be an icon that says breakout room. And
Yeah,
if
I
you don't
understand
see it,
that.
then that means you don't have the upgrade. Is that correct?
There is a 3 dots beside the leave button. 3 dots.
No.
3 dots.
Red leave button.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see the leave button. Oh, and there. Okay, if you don't have the 3 dots, then you need to update.
Let me do that.
Okay.
And now I see a bug. I thought I created a sewing machine room, but I don't see it. And,
no, yeah, exactly.
And I can't rename the rooms now since I started the rooms, which is bizarre. So room 5 read room 5 as sewing machine.
Ah.
And you can join that. And
shall I upgrade? Shall I leave and upgrade?
Anya, I was looking for you in the blender room. Yeah, I think, can Anya not just, if you put Anya in the blender room, then I'll try and help her there.
Anya to the blender room.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay. And guys, don't just leave. Come back and report back on what's going on in the rooms. If there's success and stuff, we need to have sort of complete stories on these things.
Yep.
Right, I've gone into it and now I can't get into it. Back in again. Hold on. Oh, join. There we go.
I tried to join a breakout room, but I don't know. I maybe did something wrong.
What room do you want to go to?
The toaster.
Toaster. Okay. Where did you go? Oh. Move to toaster. Interesting. I think it says that you're in toaster but not joined. What could that possibly mean?
So I go into the breakout rooms and then I'll try again.
Okay. It thinks you're in toaster, but it says not joined, which makes no sense to me.
Right. Okay. I see my name, but no. It's white instead of green.
All right. Can you?
Oh.
Yep. There he goes. Okay. How to click the button. Okay.
High five, Wayne.
Yeah. Except we should have, you offered to demo this beforehand, and we would have found the problem that you've got to really, you can't change the names of the rooms once they're running, which is kind of dumb for our purposes, right? I mean, I want to add something.
Nick is back. Nick, is the sewing machine done already?
Well, no, I entered room 5. And I was the only person in it, so I waited about a minute and a half, and then left again.
Oh.
So the person with the sewing machine is
my sewing machines are fine.
Lisa. We seem to have lost Lisa. Maybe she disconnected.
Ah.
So
it's possible she upgraded. Maybe she's going off to upgrade. She'll come back.
Let's see if she comes back. So okay. Tom is coming back. All right. Tom, what's up? Did you get kicked out of your breakout room? Did they ask you to leave?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
I just left the meeting. I updated software and I just.
Oh, okay, good.
So I'm going to look for see if I've got the place to go into a room.
Okay, good.
So I'm supposed to see 3 dots somewhere, right?
No, down in the bottom, you'll see breakout rooms, at least on my interface.
Oh, there it is. I got it. Thank you.
And you can join one of you.
Fantastic. I got it. Okay, so the upgrade worked. Great.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, thanks. Oh, okay.
I mean, imagine, if this is how bars worked. You walk into the bar and you see there's interesting people and you just go walk into that group and they're happy to see you and you can talk with them. You don't have to be shy or anything. You know what their topic is. Wow. This is the perfect world for intro extroverts.
Well, they're all interested. I'm just looking to see where maybe more help is needed.
There's Lisa. So Lisa, I messed up. I thought I'd change room 5 to be sewing machine, but it just says room 5. So I'll put you in there, okay?
Okay, yeah, I just tried to upgrade and I don't see any difference.
Yeah, Nick
breakout rooms.
Nick is waiting for you. Room 5, when you see room 5, it means sewing machine.
Okay.
Okay, here you go.
All right. So Nick, you need to join her in there, right?
Right.
Can you get back to room 5, Nick?
It's waiting for you to.
Well, it seems at the moment it's showing me that I'm already in there, which is a bit strange.
Yeah,
so
maybe
not joined.
Maybe you should leave that and come back.
Well, I did leave it. Shall I try refreshing the breakout rooms again?
Yeah, try that. Hey Frank, Lisa just moved to the sewing machine room, so I'll put you back there, or you can do it yourself.
Well, it's according to this, I'm in it, but grayed out, and it says not joined.
That's
Very
what
weird.
I see too. Interesting.
Like you're on your way there, but you didn't click.
Oh, hang on. Let's try again.
You have a pop-up that says you have to click to confirm.
Oh, yeah.
There he goes. Okay. Fascinating. Danny, Cohen, Jenny.
No, that's Danny's second Zoom.
Oh, it's Danny's second. Okay.
Yeah, he logged in twice.
Cohen, Jenny, can we interest you in a breakout room?
I think Jenny also might have. Oh no, Jenny's an observer from
right.
Colorado Springs.
Yes, I'm observing from the Pikes Peak Library District.
Would you like to watch solar, radio, blender, headset, toaster, or sewing machine, or
Blender? Blender would be great.
I will move you to Blender then, Jenny.
Thank you.
All right.
You're also welcome to talk to us.
Yeah, if you want to.
Well, actually, yeah. Can I ask you guys a couple questions if you
sure
got a moment?
Sure. What's a library?
What was that?
What's a library?
What's a library?
Yeah.
Anyway.
There we go. Hello.
Well, the director of the Boulder Public Library, a few years ago when he was new to the job and he was having coffee talks with people, he invited me to sit down with him. He says, we really want to do the Boulder You Fixit Clinic in the library. I said, sure, sounds good. He says, do you know why? I said, I don't know, tell me why. He says, what's a library? I said, where you get the books? He says, yeah, a library is, and you know this phrase, I'm sure, an informal learning platform. Okay, that's a phrase, okay. So I've been using that and it's rings so true now.
Yeah, so I actually work in our maker space and I always think of it as sort of the library is an access point for things you can't necessarily get to otherwise, right? So, in our case, it's laser cutters, sewing machines, 3D printers, or the tools and knowledge to fix the things that you
Do you know the Boulder Building 61 people?
I don't.
Okay, so we have Building 61, which is the makerspace, and it has full-time staffed creative technologists, and they run, well, they used to run classes constantly there. And we were one of the first sort of host organizations to use it before they really had much in the way of tools. So we would drag our own tools there. Now they have everything and we don't have to drag as much. But
Wayne, Greg just came back in. Let's see what Greg needs. Greg, are you just showing up or were you here before?
Yeah, I've been trying to upgrade my Zoom. I went to the upgrade, that failed. And then I uninstalled it and reinstalled it. And that doesn't show any changes. I don't have a little icon showing go to this meeting.
Where
the three dots.
What room do you want to go to?
Sorry?
What room do you want to go to?
Send me the toaster room.
Okay. There you go.
Toasters?
Say okay to the pop-up. Okay.
So Jenny, what questions did you have?
Sure.
For us?
So how many of these have you guys done so far?
13.
13, nice.
Virtuals, yeah.
Right, virtuals.
Yeah.
What's the attendance usually like? You got, I think today you had about half a dozen projects?
Yeah. Wait, just a question. Nick, do you need help? I see you're in this room.
I'm fine.
Okay.
And apparently so is Frank Kaufman, who seems to be driving the operation in the room 5.
Okay. And you're from the Reading Repair Cafe, right?
Sort of, yes. Well, I live in Bracknell, and I was one of the people who started it in 2013.
Okay.
I'm slightly more loosely connected to it in recent times, although obviously since we've gone to the virtual, I've been slightly more connected to it.
Okay. We'd love to have you and all the people at the Reading Repair Cafe and all those repair cafes, be part of this global effort, especially as we're all still in lockdown. So.
And wow, sewing machine help has been in demand because a lot of people have been sewing more than they ever have.
Oh yeah, I know.
And we've had everything from you really do need to clean and lube them and remove bits of broken thread to what a strange mechanism you have for moving your particular sewing machine's needle up and down that is confusing us. So yeah, it's really cool.
So Jenny, let's have Jenny ask
oh
her
yeah,
question.
no. I mean, take care of the repair cafe first. I'm just asking you.
No, we're
lots
good.
of nosy questions.
What do you want to know?
So when you guys decide I'm asking this because we have been hosting about once or twice a quarter. We were hosting in-person repair cafes.
Oh.
Some at the library, some at the Pikes Peak Makerspace or the Manitou Arts Center, which are kind of our local maker partners. And we're trying to figure out how to best do it, move it to an online forum. So when you guys are doing this, I mean, this is like a global, people are coming in from all over, which is fantastic. How are you using that Fixit Clinic website to kind of just invite people? You post it there and people just come from all over?
Correct. So the Fixit coaches register on one website and the participants register in another one. And we've now augmented it with a Discord server so that we're trying to implement 24/7.
Cool.
So it's a great opportunity for your coaches to come and, get experience from a global community of fixers and either, help or learn or suggest whatever. It's a great time. I just today learned that UK appliances have fuses in their plugs. Never bothered to look. It's awesome.
I think they ground them more too. I always hear from people when they come here that they're like, what do you mean and if your finger gets in the way, you just get an electrical shock? And we're all like, yeah.
Well, now
that's 110 volts versus 220 volts is what's going on.
I won't gripe so much if I'm traveling to, the UK and I need to take one of those adapters with me, which just takes up half of my luggage space, it seems. There's a reason for it, and it makes sense. I also like that in Europe, there tend to be switches on the outlets too, so you can locally control an outlet, which is great. I like that idea. Anyway.
So Jenny, you should just join these. So yeah. I will say that the difference is going to be that you're going to, not everyone knows how to fix at home. And the challenge I had with the Repair Cafe model was this idea that people could just bring it and a coach would fix it for them. Whereas at the Fixit Clinic model, we're all about teaching people how to fish as opposed to handing a fish. And this virtual thing forces that issue. So,
if you look at the latest Repair Cafe marketing stuff, they have really emphasized education now, right? So I think we're as aligned as we could be at this point. There's really no functional difference. We're online, we're helping each other. We have no choice but to teach them how to fix their thing because I can't reach in and change your dishwasher capacitor. You gotta do it yourself. So for us coaches who have trouble keeping our hands in our pockets, this is great, right? Because you really have to use all your skills to teach someone. And the results have been great. It's also tough for some people who like only have a camera, and can't get the spatial thing right. It's really hard for them. Right?
I was going to say, how often do you, because it sounded like one or two of those people were sort of returning, how often do you kind of go, well, you're not going to need to go to the store and buy a fuse or a capacitor or something.
Peter's been screening the people who sign up to find, figure out what they need. So we're pretty effective here. So you saw someone has a brand new, in the plastic wrapping multimeter.
Right.
And thankfully, China wants us to have those and sells them to us very cheap now. So it's a reasonable
But
tool.
I'd love Jenny's library to be the distribution point to like loan out a multimeter.
Yeah.
That would be a way to sort of bridge the real world and the personal world.
We're trying to go that way. A couple of us were already pushing for a little bit of more of that lending library of things, as opposed to you have to come use it in our space. And it's really gotten jump started by the pandemic and the fact that we had to close a lot of our spaces. So it's a real big district. Everything moves slow, but we're really hoping that in the next year or so, we're able to get more of our tools into a lending kit format and fewer of them in you have to come use it in our space.
Yeah. Jenny, how many fixers, coaches do you have on your roster?
I'm newer to the whole project, so I've only actually been able to be at one Repair Cafe prior to the whole shutdown. I want to say we had probably they're back and forth whether they feel like they want to participate now that it's virtual. I want to say they had 12 people on their list.
Okay, but they have a list, so first step, invite them to join us. And geography doesn't matter now. Time zone.
Where should I send people? What's sort of the official URL?
I'll offline contact me and I'll get you all that stuff going.
Yeah.
Because I'd also love to
Peter,
figure
you're
out
the one
how
that was emailing us the links, correct?
Right.
Okay. Great.
And I'd love to figure out how we get your teen librarian, how do we get a younger demographic more involved? And we'd love to have fixing families too, like Lisa and her son in a scooter. So, to use it as an opportunity to expand the people who the Repair Cafe appeals to through this virtual effort in the Fixit Clinic, as opposed to figuring out how do we serve the same customers we've always served, because it's not clear they're going to transition to this virtual world well.
So think about a library-sponsored virtual class on fixing your stuff, and you'll have no problem recruiting coaches to help you do this. And target a demographic. So for those same middle school kids who would come in to learn Tinkercad and make a plastic thingy, tell them, come in and fix your scooter or your pencil sharpener or the cord to your iPhone, something, right? And they'll self-select. The ones that would be into this will sign up, or maybe their parents will force them into it if they're not totally zoomed out at this point. But what I think is great is we can convince people they can do interactive experiential learning at home with the stuff they have.
Do you guys ever do a themed Repair Cafe? Because we were thinking about trying to do some kind of winterize your bicycle or.
In Boulder, we've had stuff like fix a coffee pot in a coffee shop. So we
okay.
My experience is that the themed events don't go well because it doesn't match up with what people have broken when it's broken.
Right.
What I'd say is that you could spotlight, we'd be happy to spotlight your library at the beginning of one of the Fixit clinics. Like if you need to say, okay, there's a Fixit clinic in 2 weeks or a month, and promote it to your local community as something that you guys are going to make more of a concerted effort to come to. But even then, my experience is that only, at least with your current demographic, probably you'll get 1 or 2 things to be repaired and 1 or 2 Fixit coaches. But, so I'd love to work with you to figure out how we do this more as a teen and family type activity going forward. Your library's not open now, right?
We are. We're kind of open. A lot of our things are open, and actually we're in the process of reopening our maker spaces in a very limited kind of capacity, which is that's what's taking up most of my time now, because it's really, we're having to do a 180 from what we kind of had going, which was a very, like you guys said, it was focused on, you know, being self-serve and teach yourself and just grab the supplies you need. And now that we're having to clean everything constantly, we're having to lock everything behind doors and say, no, you have to ask for it, because if we have to keep track of what you're touching, and it's a little bit of a nightmare. But we are going to have the stuff back open to the public, which I'm really excited about.
Okay. And I noticed Mark showed up. Mark, do you need something? Are you okay? Do you need to go into a breakout room or something?
Mark, you're on mute.
Sorry. We worked on his headphones and then also fixing a drawer, an IKEA drawer.
Nice.
And so we got to the bottom of it. He didn't have any of the materials that are available. So we talked about what to get, what to use, and how to do it.
All right. Do you want to go to the room? You can move yourself if you like.
Okay.
Or you can talk to Jenny from the Colorado Springs Public Library Makerspace.
Okay.
We're talking about her Repair Cafe efforts and what to do during the pandemic. Jenny, you were asking about single, special topics. I think there's a dream of that happening. The numbers aren't there yet. We try to do one which is, before Christmas sort of broken toys thing. And what I learned is don't schedule anything between Thanksgiving and Christmas. People are busy. This year, maybe they're not, but that was one way. And, we've really tried hard to get more families, because the buzz when there are families in the room is spectacular, right? Everybody understands what the generational opportunities are when an 8-year-old kid. I've done a very successful Fix a Lamp workshop, and we did that differently. We started out with a little bit of lecture demo. We gave everybody all the broken electrical parts of lamps and taught them how to strip wires and put on plugs and change sockets. And then we said, okay, let's go fix your lamps that you brought. And this 8-year-old boy was so in love with this process that he was like born to be a wire stripper. And he ran around and showed everybody what to do. He loved this. He's like, he found his special purpose. I don't know what clicked with him, but the meter, the continuity, what the components do, it was like a light went on. No. It was
so
great.
Phil, you just showed up. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Wayne. Phil, you weren't here earlier, were you, Phil?
Yep, I certainly was. Yes, well, I went off to the solar radio, Fixit.
Okay.
And we fixed it, and she's happy, and there we go.
Oh, how'd you fix it?
What was wrong with it? Yeah.
Well, in fact, it's one of those hand cranky solar radios. So we ascertained that the new battery she bought, she didn't actually need. So she hand cranked on the old battery, got her to work the test meter, all good. Hand cranking charges it. So we said to her, look, what you need to do, unfortunately, is to do the same tests again, but put the radio out in the sunshine for at least a few hours. So that's what she's going to do next. So it's possible that her solar charging system is broken, but certainly the hand crank works, the radio works. So there we go. Half a fix.
Great. Yeah. I've those little tiny cheap solar cells and those things, they take a long time in bright sun to do anything, right?
Yeah.
So, it seems nice, but you need actually this big of a panel, right, to charge that battery fully in the peak days of sunshine. In the beginning of this craziness, my wife's like, we need to be prepared. She's like acting like a prepper, but we're not preppers. So, dried food, beans. She says, and what if the power went out? How could we charge our cell phones? Like, oh, I don't want to buy a generator. So I bought a solar panel thingy, a backpack thing. And if you want to sit there and aim it at the sign, you can get its maximum voltage, but otherwise a cloud comes by, it drops down. You have to just sort of let it run for hours. So it's sort of an interesting lesson. So Phil, do you want to go to another room? You can move yourself if you want.
I don't think there's anything exciting for me actually, because I'm just an electronics boy, and just looking down the list, there's nothing much else for me, I don't think.
Well, we don't know if the toaster is electrical or mechanical. Oh, there's a lot of people.
No, don't do toasters. No.
And the
they're all probably crumbs. Oh, dear me.
Sewing machine looks like Lisa disappeared. So Nick's here by his lonesome. There's no sewing machine people. Headsets done.
What happened was the sewing machine was a return, as I understand it. They let one go before. What had Frank Kaufman done previous work on it or something?
I think we told her to go buy a new pedal.
No, because I got into a head-on with Frank Kaufman as we sort of got into that room, so I left.
Okay.
Frank is a little headstrong, huh? I'm concerned about that.
Yeah, I did. Well, I didn't. I couldn't get. I tried to. I tried to explain what my angle on it was, and he was just shutting me out. I've had this. Funnily enough, I've seen this exact problem before. A lot of the people who repair things are a little way up the autism spectrum, and they'll all lock on to a job. This is really interesting, and it doesn't matter what's going on outside. They're focused, and he was obviously concentrating very hard on what he was doing to the extent that he just wasn't noticing me at all. So I left.
I think Phil just demonstrated a very good tactic for Zoom repair coach strategies. Have a little sip of wine. Relax, mellow. This is a social thing. We're enjoying ourselves. Don't get all type A on this.
So thank you, Nick, for the feedback. I'm going to try, because Frank's...
Hot chocolate myself, but yeah.
I've nicknamed Frank Mr. Multimeter because every person who comes in, he says, "You've got to have a multimeter." You know.
No, as I say, I've had a similar experience, and there's no point. You don't get an argument in front of the customer. You just walk away and let them get on.
So Jenny, here's another side effect of doing these activities. Over time, you've realized that you've built a community, that people really enjoy being together, and the nature of their work to help other people provides essential feedback to them about how do you behave? How are you helpful? Are you helpful? Do you allow time for other people to speak? Or you're the person that just says, hand me the damn screwdriver and I'll fix it. Those don't make good coaches, right? And unfortunately, as the organizer, I sometimes get the feedback like, oh, it was terrible. This person's not so nice to me. I've been trying to convince my little brother who lives in Queens in New York City to go to the Fixit, whatever, repair cafe in Brooklyn. And they went once and they said it was a gender problem. All the coaches were men, all the repair projects were women, and the men had this attitude of, here, let me fix that for you. Obviously you can't do it or you wouldn't have come here. So they said they're not going back. So
I could tell you stories. I'm a lady that works in a space where I run a laser cutter and a 3D printer, and
yep.
Yeah, I could tell you. I could tell stories.
I was the director of Makerspace in CU Boulder at the Atlas Institute, the BTU lab, the Blow Things Up lab, and it's actually pretty gender balanced. But the tough problems our director are when some women came to me and said, this guy, whenever he's in the lab, he like, here, let me solder that for you. Like, dude, I've been soldering longer than you have. Please don't make these stupid assumptions, right? So it's a great opportunity for people to learn about their own behavior, to work together better. And we all need work, you know, absolutely. But yeah, what's the role of facilitator, manager, observer in all this? Peter did the right thing. He's going to have a nice, quiet discussion, which could be essential feedback, or it could be, yeah, I've heard that before.
Can I ask you guys a repair question?
Yeah.
For my own self? I have an ancient coffee maker that doesn't owe me anything, but lately something I think is loose. Sometimes I plug it in, it works. Sometimes I plug it in, it doesn't come on, and then if you kind of smack it on the top of it a few times, then all of a sudden it's there. Oh, and I have a cat visiting me. What should I check? Should I try and pull the back off and see if there's a wire loose?
Go get it and take it apart. We're here.
I can't move and go get it right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds to me like, you know, you just got a loose wire someplace.
Loose wire
you know,
somewhere.
Yeah, and that's usually what it is. Well, I have a Fixit thing. You know those tiny magnetic switches? How do they fail? How do they fail? Do you know about these things? I'll go show you one. They're they're really cool when they work, but they don't. When they don't, it's really frustrating. And I'm not real familiar with magnetic switches, other than using them. And I'm not sure about the physics of making them switch.
So there are two kinds.
I'm trying to get this.
There are two kinds. There used to be only one kind. Now there are two kinds. The first kind is purely mechanical. Oh, that's a reed switch. Yeah, that's a little glass tube with two pieces of metal. And in the presence of a strong enough electric field, the wires touch. That's a glass reed switch. That's old school.
Okay, yeah. So I that's what I thought it was. But what I'm seeing is that sometimes it has a high resistance, or the resistance is fluctuating, and sometimes it just doesn't go. I mean, it doesn't switch. It switches in the on position, or it can't switch out of it.
You would think something steel and glass wouldn't go bad. Oh, Nick's going to show us one. I'm going to guess if you put too high a current through them, that you could do nasty things to the contacts so they don't work anymore.
Well, yeah, no, it's like in the microamps range that I'm putting through there.
Huh. Yeah. So it's a failed part. If you get a new part, it works fine, right?
Yeah. I was trying to read up on them, and the implication was it's sort of like a transistor effect of cascading magnetism and something.
That's the other kind, a Hall effect sensor or a Hall effect switch, which is all semiconductor. And it sounds like it's a brand new thing, but Hall, I forget his first name, figured this thing out in like the 1860s, that if you have a current going through a certain semiconductor and impinge a magnetic field on it, it changes the current proportionally. And so you can solve the problem of contacts that go bad by having a total solid state thing, but you can't put any current through it. You have to run to a circuit, which then switches something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so refrigerators, they have doors that the magic light comes on. They tend to be, old ones are mechanical, newer ones are Hall effect because they're cheap enough. I use them in my physical computing classes because I can buy a bag of them from China for a couple of bucks. And it's a really nice little product to, this magic stuff happens, magnetism, electricity together, you can't see any of them and this stuff happens. It's so fun to play with it. Whereas the mechanical reed switch, if you look close enough, you can see exactly what's going on. So except when it's broken, then I assume there's something's gone bad with the.
I'm going to go around and look at some of the breakout rooms, see what's.
I did have a comment, right? The reason why I'm here is I was in the toaster breakout room and I was getting audio from one of the other rooms. They were saying, be careful, put a block under that wheel. And I'm dealing with a toaster. There's no wheels on the toaster. And I'm going, where is this audio coming from?
Wow. A block under the wheel doesn't sound like one of our projects.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wayne, is there any reason to make me a co-host, or I just sort of move myself around?
I think you already are a co-host. Yeah, you are a co-host.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, your other Peter is here, so we're good. Hey, Mark, while you're here, congratulations to your daughter's award. We're Facebook friends, so I know these things.
We're very excited about that. In fact, she just left.
Yeah, I mean, it was just really weird. I thought she should be made aware of it.
Okay. Well, Peter might check it out for us.
I can't figure out how to join them.
Oh, maybe as co-host you can't? No, if you click on breakout rooms, there's a join button next to each room, no?
Yeah, I see it. Okay, thank you.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, you have to mouse over the number and then it'll give you a join option. But I think he's found that because he's gone.
Nice.
May I ask you guys one more question? We're, like I said, we're kind of in the process of trying to develop some library of things, circulating tools. We have some actual tool, screwdrivers and drills and saws and things. But what would you guys recommend as sort of some basic diagnostic tools that we might want to let people take home? I heard multimeter, sorry.
Multimeters, yeah.
Multimeters.
I'll send you a link to my favorite list, which is our original shopping list.
Okay.
And the question is things that people don't have that they may not go to the hardware store to buy. Multimeters, though, gosh, they're so cheap now,
Well, we are also, in part, we're serving a population that's very low on the socioeconomic ladder. And so one of our goals is, helping people who maybe even something that's a $10 part, if they're not going to use it over and over, they can't, they can't go buy it.
So Peter can tell you more about tool libraries, because the Alameda library does just that. And I think he acquired some tools, and rather than keeping them in the back of his Honda and dragging them to the various Bay Area clinics, he just put them at the library. And so when they need them, he gets them from the library. But meanwhile, people can borrow them, and they use just their existing library infrastructure to say, here's a thing you can take out and bring it back. If you don't bring it back, then bad things happen. But there's a list. In Boulder, we have we're set up for 10 workstations, and each workstation has a toolbox, which is a set of hand tools, soldering iron, multimeter, some sort of things. And then I bought big toolboxes. Think of the time I'd add more tools. And what I realized, I didn't need 10 of them, and I couldn't afford 10. So now I have some rolling toolboxes that have the one of mostly mechanical, mostly electrical things. And then a lot of supplies, so glues, components, connectors, screws of all types. So those become like just the supply stuff. I can send you the list. Peter might have his list of what the Alameda library has. Peter, Jenny's thinking about if the library were to say, here's a toolkit you can take out, what would be in that toolkit?
Yeah, I've got that list. And the stick blender room is back to report.
Oh, yay.
Oh, we're going to report. It is not good news. Hello, Phil.
So I've been off fixing a solar radio. Carry on.
Serves you right. Okay, Anya is not from Sussex. She's actually sitting in Fife in Scotland. Her hand blender, Kenwood hand blender, had seized up when it was being used to blend dates. We worked our way back from the fuse in the plug, discovered that the fuse was okay. We then, with some help and advice from the internet, where people have tried this, started to take the thing apart. But Danny in Belgium quite rightly suggested that we should try and rotate the end of the motor physically, and it stuck fast. So we've concluded, after having another go at trying to get this thing apart, and apparently they're extremely difficult to get apart, that what's happened is in the course of blending dates, the motor has burnt out and melted sufficiently to lock itself up and is not going to be salvable. So we have reluctantly concluded with a majority, not a majority, everyone agreed, I can't think what that word is, everyone agrees that we can't actually help with this any further. Unanimous, that's the word I was looking for. The unanimous vote was it can't be fixed, and we're sorry.
All right, so can any of the parts be harvested?
We talked about that. What I do in these situations is I cut the lead off right by the appliance and use the lead and the plug and the fuse, as we have them over here. Be nice to think that you could use the clip-on appliances if you wanted to buy another one of those, so you got one as a spare. But as one's now gone off for the dustman, the other one's still there somewhere, so you can still use that. Aside from that, can't get the thing apart. Had the motor rotated, there is a hidden fuse, pretty much where I think you came in, Peter, that there's a thermal fuse inside this thing, right in the depths of it. But getting one of these things apart, we actually got to the stage where we found some instructions in Russian with some good photographs. And as we couldn't manage to get hold of a Russian speaker in Fife, we were a bit stuck. There probably are some at St Andrews University, mind you. Anyhow, yeah, harvest parts, that's it. I'm afraid it's not going to work.
So Anya, thank you so much for being a contestant. And you're welcome back anytime just to observe or bring any other broken stuff that you...
I'll be back and I'll tell everyone about Fixit. Thank you very much.
It sounds like you just lost a quiz show. You know, thank you for coming along, but you didn't win.
And Anya, you know, I'm trying to deploy this lighter weight Discord server as well. And I was going to say to you guys, Brian, Phil, and Des, you should really, beyond these Zooms, I love the way, Brian, you've just sort of taken your local repair cafe and said, let's convene at these Zooms. And I'd love to see you think about, convening into the Discord server as well. Because we're, it's thrilling to have you.
That's kind of you. I've got 37 volunteers and only 3 of us are here. So I wouldn't say that Chailey Repair Cafe has turned up en masse. As we speak, I'm just getting a repair request online from someone locally who wants a lamp fix. So, but yeah, the idea that we should do this locally is something that's been the subject of discussion. But we are a very small island, as your Bill Bryson tells us, and we don't have the distances involved that you do to get people to come and drop stuff off at people's homes. And so when the choice is drop your faulty toaster by traveling a mile or 2 down the road, people are happier to do that than to try to do it through Zoom.
But they don't learn anything if you fix it for them.
No, we've been going 2 years now, and I don't think we have a population, and Des and Phil will correct me if I'm wrong, who are actively interested in learning how to fix stuff. They want their stuff repaired, please.
I think some of the participants like to watch, I've got to say. I've had some old ladies that are like fascinated by their boombox being taken to bits in front of their very eyes. So they learn a little bit, but yeah, as Brian says, not a great deal.
I would really like to get some younger people in. And the frustrating thing, I think I've said this before here, is that just as we went into lockdown in March, Chailey Repair Cafe were about to run a session specifically for the local Brownies pack. The Brownies and Girl Guides over here have got a badge for repairing stuff. And we'd actually set up an arrangement where they were going to come in and we were going to sit and teach these kids how to fix stuff. But
so they're all welcome to come here. Okay? The whole Brownie pack, the entire Girl Scout contingent is all welcome to come be observers of this. We only have 13 people today. Zoom in a large room can hold 300 people. Okay, I want to break Zoom with participants if we can do it.
All right.
Nick, were you trying to say something? No? Yes?
Yeah, you're muted, Nick.
No, you're not. You're good.
Not now. Right. Yeah, no, that's an interesting thing. When we first put the Reading Repair Cafe online, one of the things that happened was we met a load of people from the Blackdown Hills Repair Cafe down in the West Country. And we promptly had quite a disagreement with them where the Blackdown Hills people were saying, no, we're fixing all this stuff. We're getting so much stuff in. We haven't got time to talk to anybody. We have to fix all these things. And to which we were saying, I mean, certainly my approach is completely the opposite, that the important thing is the education. And even if someone doesn't appear to be that interested, I will always talk them through the process, even when I don't know, when I don't know what's wrong with the thing. The first thing I'm doing is talking through the diagnosis and then giving them the repair options. And in quite a lot of cases, I've had some really good ones. I had a 60-year-old woman who had a machine that was supposed to help her with tinnitus. It made sort of sea noises, and she dropped it off a shelf. One of the lines from the battery pack had fallen off the circuit board. She'd taken out off her screwdriver, she'd opened the thing up, then she realised that she didn't know where this wire went back on, so she'd stopped and not just poked it back on at random and blown the board up. And then she came in and asked us, and we were able to work out where it went and solder it back on. And I've seen a whole lot of people who just need that bit of help. And that's to me a major part of it is educating the people that are coming in and showing them how easy it, not to say, oh, I'm so clever, I can fix your stuff, but actually showing how easy it is for them to fix it if they think about it.
Yeah, no, I absolutely understand that, and I would love to be able to do that. We had a meeting of the Southeast of England consortium of repair cafes yesterday, 18 of us online, and we talked about this, and quite honestly, we would love to be able to offer the time and the facilities to show people. And trust me, anyone that's interested, Nick, down here in Sussex, will get the time to show them how to fix their stuff themselves. What I'm really saying is that the majority, in my experience of doing this for a couple of years, and I know that Reading has had some success with this, we just haven't been able to get people on board with it. But when we reopen, as I hope we're going to in January, then hopefully we'll have a go.
I have to say that whenever I do online, repairs at home, and Brian sends people along to drop their stuff with me, I always send back an email with a fairly detailed explanation of what I did. And for some people, this is something that they will skip over and then delete. But for other people, they occasionally email back and say, that was really interesting, and I didn't know that the machine did this, 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 and this. And so if I make the effort to do that, which isn't very much effort, I feel that I'm doing the right thing.
Okay, we are back here.
All right. I'm learning about Zoom too.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I think I was unmuted during that whole time, huh? Okay, so Lisa, can you tell us what happened with the sewing machine? And then she's ready to show us her son's scooter.
Oh, yeah.
So Frank helped me with the sewing machine, and we figured out that the pedal works. So based on information, Teo, not in the house, please. From the last meeting, it sounded we had the scooter has been taken away. So from the last time, it had been figured out that it was either the motor or the pedal. And so the pedal, Frank helped me figure out works. So it's got to be the motor. So I will go on to Sears and see if I can find a motor that's worth buying.
Wait. So we've got Nick here, who's a great sewing coach. Maybe we can look at your sewing machine some more now that we know it's not the pedal. You know, how do we know it may not necessarily be the motor? You know, it's
the last time I had brought it to a Fixit clinic before and had taken it apart and showed all the different parts and tried what was moving and what wasn't moving and when it was making the noise. And at that point, it was diagnosed it's either the motor or the pedal. So. I mean, I don't mind going through that again, but I don't know if it's necessary.
I don't know who did it, Lisa, but does someone check that there wasn't a capacitor inside the pedal that had short-circuited or open-circuited?
The pedal is working fine. We just tested it.
Okay.
Put a multimeter on it. As you are moving the pedal down, the voltage is coming up properly, so there's no issue with the pedal.
Okay. Did Nick have a look at it? You didn't.
Do you want to take a look at it, Nick? Do you think there might be something else?
He's a man with two sewing machines in the background. Yeah. You know, he's got to know something about it.
Yeah, the woman who helped me primarily last time was, I don't remember her name.
Cecilia, the sewing machine whisperer?
Yes, it was her.
And she thought you were stupid.
No, Teo.
We heard that. We
didn't hear it.
We heard that. Don't you love kids, eh?
So our sewing machine, if you put a multimeter across the input to a sewing machine motor, do you get continuity if it's working? And is it infinite if it's broken? Or is there more stuff inside there that I don't know about? It's just a regular AC motor, right?
It's a regular AC motor, as far as I know. Just plug it into the pedal and the wall.
If you put an ohm meter on the wires going into it, can you see if it's got a resistance or if it's open?
I didn't put the wires on the machine.
Wayne, the motor is turning, but it's not turning smoothly. That's the issue.
Right.
Oh.
It does turn on.
Oh.
When I use the, I can't manually turn the wheel.
Okay.
But I can turn it with the pedal, but it makes a horrible, horrible sound and it goes super, super, super slowly.
So the motor's now moving with the pedal, but it's wimpy. Okay.
The motor is not working properly.
Yeah. So it could be have some bad windings. Okay. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Nick, did you have something to say about it?
But generally with those machines, the motor is driving the flywheel via a belt. So you should be able to take the belt off and then run the motor completely separately to the machine. So you could turn the flywheel by hand and determine whether the machine sews properly, and then you could run the motor not connected to the machine. Most of those motors are brush motors, so if it's running roughly, it could well be a fried up brush.
Yeah, it could be
The
any
wheel
process.
does not turn very easily by hand. It turns, but
Yeah, but how is it if you take the belt off the motor?
I don't know. I didn't try that.
That's the first thing. You need to disconnect the motor to establish if it's a mechanical issue in the sewing machine or the motor the problem.
Okay.
If you look around the back of the machine, you should find that there's probably a casing covering the motor that's usually only held on by a couple of screws. So you should be able to get that casing off and see the belt exposed.
Wayne, would it be an idea to put Lisa in a room with Nick so that you can have a look at it, or is it too late for that?
I'm fine with that. Do you guys want to do that?
What's Frank's view on that? He seemed to be fairly well in charge.
Not a question of being in charge. I have a lot of experience with the electrical stuff.
Okay. I mean, if we think that there's more I can try to go through, then
put them both in then.
No, we tried that.
Oh.
Nick, would you like some one-on-one time with Lisa and go?
I'd rather not. Right. I'm a retired hospital electronics technician, mechanical engineer, and several other things. There's lots of things I can do. One of the things I do is I have 12 sewing machines, but I can do tons of other things as well.
That's up. We are very similar in that.
So Lisa, maybe some other time, if not this time, but just there's a belt there, and oh, she's doing it. All right, so
she's got the top off.
I'm just while you guys were talking.
She's halfway there.
Okay. Arkadeep has some. Arkadeep, do you want to report back on what happened with your headphones?
Sure. Mark helped me understand that what we generally need to do is add a bridge, because what I was doing earlier is there is not enough material here, and so add a bridge, either metal or plastic, and then add tape so that it reinforces, or use some reinforced tape. That's what we figured out. Yeah, I don't have, like, I had some aluminum, this is a medicine stuff. It's very thin, so it didn't work.
Actually, do you have a wire coat hanger?
Wire coat hanger? I think I did. I also, oh, you mean the wire has to be more rigid, or?
I'm talking about if from the wire coat hanger. No, that's nothing. No, a wire coat hanger, you could cut some 4 or 5 inch long pieces and then put that parallel to the 2 pieces that are broken, and take it around. And then the wire coat hanger wire will create a bridge.
Oh, I see. So you're saying take the wire and round it around it. I see.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, I'll do that. I think I can fix this now. I'll report back to Peter and email him. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
So
great community. Yeah.
This is Tom. I just popped into the meeting, and so I'm not aware of all that's been talked about. But there is one thing that way of gluing plastic that actually works fairly effectively. It's where you take and put super glue on, and then you take baking soda and you sprinkle it into the super glue, and it reacts real fast, and it actually forms a very hard, almost like its own plastic. And you can build that up and put layers on there and have it extend beyond either side of the break, and you actually sort of build up a whole another layer of plastic on there. And then you can file it off too if you want to smooth it up. But it works great for filling in things. And so it's just super glue with baking soda put on it.
Tom, in this case, that's not the best way of doing it. If you had a plastic part broken and you have to bridge it together like an L shape, that filling in the corner works terrific with baking soda. Now, the way I would fix this if it was in my hand, because the two plastic pieces that are broken are end to end.
Right.
Okay, what I would do is I would cut, say, from a wire coat hanger, a couple of pieces, 4 or 5 inches, put it, half of it one side, half of it the other side of the brake, and then I will take some heavier thread. I usually go to my wife and look for her, her sewing things, and with that thread, I just wrap it around and round and round on both sides. And once the thread is all around it, then I drop the crazy glue on it, on the thread, and it makes it into a solid sleeve.
There you go, perfect. I agree.
That would fix this properly.
Yep, no, that's, you put a reinforcement in there, you're right. That would definitely be better because it would bridge, have something solid to bridge that.
Yeah, and then with the thread around it, it holds it, and the crazy glue on the thread makes it into a solid tubing.
Yep. Well, I wonder if you could put the super glue and then put the baking powder, baking soda on that, if that would.
I know the use of the baking soda, and I use it regularly when it is the right thing. Here, you are not looking at filling or reinforcing. You are looking for like a sleeve, a tubing or something on the outside.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of repairs that end up looking like this, that you can't fix the underlying broken thing. Even if you had the best glue in the world, it still becomes a stress point. So we end up building an exoskeleton. Lots of things we've done this. If it doesn't look so horrible, you can get away with it. There were the days when we all had plastic glasses. How many people have glasses here? Interesting.
Most of us.
Yeah, and if it breaks at the bridge, you get some tape, right? And then you go to school, and everybody knows you're the guy who puts tape on the bridge of his nose, and you're proud of your fix, except everybody now says it's the guy with the, we became nerds. We became nerds. Nerd power. So sometimes, some fixes should be more aesthetic than others. But today, who the hell cares? No one's going to look at you other than Zoom. Greg wants to show us.
Wayne, it sounds like you are speaking from experience.
No, not at all. Not at all. I lost my hair in high school. I had to deal with that.
So guys, all of the breakout rooms are empty at this point. So we're in overtime now.
So Greg would like to show us a close-up view of his magnetic reed switch. So I'm gonna spotlight his.
Well, but Lisa's also at a point with her sewing machine, so let's not forget her.
All right, 1 minute, Greg. Show us what you got.
Right shot.
That's a beautiful shot. It looks like it's making contact.
Yeah, but it's open circuit.
So they're corroded.
No, this is brand new. So now I'm going to push the magnet closer, and now it is closed circuit.
Right.
Okay.
That's how it's supposed to work.
I didn't see it move. Did anybody else
see it? It works.
Oh, I see a little gap there now. Yep. Now put the magnet by it.
No, the magnet is by it, and it's closed circuit.
Oh, okay. So remove the magnet.
Okay, now I'm slowly moving, and I'll let you know when it's open circuit.
There.
There.
Yep, I saw it move.
Yeah, it works.
Yep. It's open now?
Yep.
Tiny bit.
Yeah,
maybe we're not at the right exact angle where we can see the.
Right, but I can see the little bit of movement there. Yeah. So yeah, you've got a great view.
Put a voltmeter on it if you are doubting it.
That's funny.
I can't keep an eye on the video and the meter at the same time.
I did see a movement.
Well, it's still closed circuit. Right now it's closed circuit. And I'm slowly moving the magnet there.
There.
Now, okay. So you saw it move, huh?
Saw it move.
One pixel.
Excellent. Okay. Well, that's pretty amazing. Well, they're really fragile. So I got this project. I'm making a mechanical water depth gauge meter into an electronic one. And it's got this wheel that rotates, and I'm putting these on there. I put a magnet on the wheel, and then I have 8 of these switches there and that I've mounted on there. Let me see if I can get that out.
So can we go to Lisa and her sewing machine and see what's going on with her? Lisa?
Yep.
So let me get my other camera back.
Okay, Greg, while you set up, maybe we'll see what's,
Yeah. So
Okay,
Greg,
so-
I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna share you an electronic version of a water depth gauge from Adafruit. But let's go switch to Lisa. Are you ready to show us where you are with your machine?
I don't see a breakout room for her.
I took the back off, which I didn't do last time.
Yeah, good.
I can see the belts, the 2 belts in there.
Yeah, you have to take those off.
Take them off?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Only the motor one.
Sorry? They're very tight. I don't know how to get them off without potentially breaking them. Do I? Oh, there we go.
It slides off.
No, don't do that. Oh.
You got one. Good.
Don't do that.
Is there another one?
Oh, you got it off?
I got it off.
Oh.
Yeah. Is
The
there
one for the
another
wheel.
one?
The other one is buried.
No, don't.
I can't see the ends of either.
Is
But
that?
Did this belt that you took off, was that connecting the flywheel to the motor?
That's this one.
Okay, so you have it off.
I have it off.
Frank got muted.
Why are there 2?
I don't know.
It might be driving another accessory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see the end.
Okay,
Of
so on the motor pulley, there is no belt now.
So there, so the drive wheel, right?
No, a
This is
motor.
the
The motor.
The motor's here, right? And then
There's a pulley. There is no belt on it.
That's the motor, yes.
there's no belt between the motor and here, but there's a
There is
belt between.
no belt on the motor pulley.
Okay, so
No.
on the other side, on the other side.
Is there a belt on the motor pulley? Right.
I don't think so.
I can see there's not.
No.
I don't know the terms that you're using, but I just wanted to tell you where I can, this belt is,
Okay, don't worry about
the
that.
other side of here is where it starts, and then it ends somewhere down in there that I can't tell. what-
Lisa, fire
Don't
it
worry
up.
about it.
Plug it in. Let's see what the motor does.
Plug it in.
Yeah.
That's exactly my point.
Yeah.
To find out if it's a mechanical issue with the rest or it's with the motor.
Correct.
The motor hums nicely without the belt.
Is it spinning
Does
though?
it turn?
So the motor is
Can
okay.
you get a close up of that
Okay,
area?
Is the motor turning?
Well, you'll get a close up.
Yeah,
If we
but
can
you
get
can
a
tell
close
us
up.
if it's turning or not.
Okay, so
Okay.
We'll get a visual. We'll get a visual.
Okay.
there's the motor, right?
Okay.
And this,
So when you
it's
press the
spinning.
pedal, does that turn?
It's spinning.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so the motor is running.
Yeah,
Now,
and the motor was running before.
If you manually turn the flywheel, okay, you can unplug it now.
So I take it this, where it wasn't running, you thought it was the motor or the switch, but you've proven electrically it's fine. Now there must be a mechanical lockup somewhere where it's.
It's been running. It's been running the whole time. It just has been running.
Don't worry about that. Is now if you move that flywheel with your hand like that, does it move easy?
No.
Okay,
Okay,
there's
so
the
you have a
problem.
mechanical issue.
But it does turn, it's just hard to turn?
Correct.
Okay, it's just a lubrication issue then. You've
Probably.
got some bearings that are dry, and you need to lubricate those, and then that should turn freely.
Was this machine out of use for a length of time?
Yes, but I used it for quite a while before this happened. Like it had been out of use, then I was using it and it was fine.
Okay.
And then this happened.
All right.
Now there should be some little holes in the structure that are used for dropping oil in, you know, and it'll get to the shaft. So like the shaft goes through some metal.
I'm going to set the camera down and move the machine closer.
That information is in the manual as well to help you find those holes.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
the manual.
I can't find a manual for this.
Online.
Model. Online, I can't find it either for this model. So
you know,
previously,
I can see that Nick has been really patient and waving his hand in the air. Nick, you ought to just unmute and speak because you won't get a word in.
I've no interest in getting in a big sort of scrum. This machine has got a number of different stitch settings.
Yes.
One of the things I would like to try with it is turning it to the simplest setting, which is the straight stitch.
That's where it is.
Okay, because if you're in any of the zigzags or fancy stitches, the thing will be trying to move the needle carriage sideways. So you're in the most basic setting, which is the straight stitch, and it's still stiff to turn.
Yes, this is the only stitch I've ever used.
So Lisa, I did notice on the top view there was a little hole in that white metal right there. That should be an oil hole. If you can put a little bit of oil in there, and then take a hold of the flywheel and turn it forward and backward. Just rotate back and forth and see if it starts getting easier to turn.
Okay. Yeah, I oiled along I'm sorry, my terminology is not good. I oiled every place I could look where things were touching each other.
Well, you were on the right track.
It seems to be getting better.
Okay. Yep.
Or I'm just getting stronger by doing it.
Right. What's the hole on the screen? Yeah, that's the hole.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's also underneath too, I'd love to confirm that the feed dogs are working in addition to the needle going up and down on top.
Now
what?
The feed dogs, the little things that grab the fabric, are they working also properly? Because underneath is where it jams up too.
They are, do I have it? They are moving.
Okay. So now
I haven't yet figured out how to adjust them on this machine.
So I'm guessing the belt connects the upper mechanism to the lower mechanism. And you might, I don't know if you can pop that off, maybe not. But now I would look at the bottom to see if there's anything to lube there or something jammed up, if you can take the bottom off.
No, don't disconnect the other belt.
Okay.
Okay.
Because if you did, you'd have to retime the feed dogs.
Right.
Yeah.
So is there stuff to lubricate from the bottom or another panel to take off there?
So, right, Lisa, you should find additional holes just like the one you put oil in. If you look along the length of the main shaft, you'll see at the other end, there will be another place to lubricate it.
Do you mean the lower main shaft?
I don't know.
If there's a hole directly above the shaft, then that would be a lubricating hole.
Well, that's also where there are two holes here. It's probably that one because this is where the screw goes into.
Yeah, it wouldn't be that one, but it should be in line with the shaft, and so that you could put oil and it'll get down into the bearing.
Yeah, I just see this one, which is in line with the shaft, but again, that's where the screw goes. And then there's this one that's not in line with the shaft, but in line with this portion.
Oh, well, it wouldn't, I don't think it'll hurt to maybe just put a drop or two of oil in. Oh yeah, that also needs to be lubricated.
You don't think?
Yeah, put a drop or two in there and just see if anything happens.
Both places.
This whole time it was just oiling in the wrong places that was happening?
It just oil, yeah, it dries out and it needs to be relubricated every now and then.
And you should be using sewing machine oil. Don't use 3-in-1 or.
Oh yeah, I've got sewing machine.
Yeah.
Singer brand.
Okay.
So may I
Is
ask
it going easier now?
I think so. It's still a little stiff, but it's
okay. Well, I think you're on the right track then. It just every place that you see something that moves where it's pivoting in, there should be some lubrication.
Say no, 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 no.
No. That's a 1970s machine by the look of it, and the cams which produce the multi-stitches are very often plastic. So you absolutely don't want to oil those plastic parts. The plastic will be attacked by the oil, and the cams then try to shrink on the shaft and crack. So you really don't want to oil the plastic parts. Only the steel to aluminium bearings.
Nick, when I was on before, the machine whisperer cringed when I took the flywheel to the backwards instead of forwards. Is that a problem to do it both directions?
Turning the machine backwards will not damage it. Turning the machine backwards in use will probably snap the thread, but it won't break anything.
Okay. She scared me.
Nick, is it possible she threw the timing? Have you ever seen the belt, the belt jump and throw the timing?
I've seen nearly everything. We could at some point look at the timing. I mean, it's fairly easy to determine the needle timing and the feed timing, but I'm not sure we can do that.
That wouldn't cause the flywheel to turn or to be stiff.
No, but the rough operation that she was experiencing, that's what I was thinking.
That's, again, it's lack of lubrication, something is stiff.
Lisa, you should be able to take the model number from your sewing machine, go online, and you will find a manual, and it will show you then where to lubricate.
Yeah, I tried. I couldn't find it for it had similar model numbers.
Always.
Because it's an old machine, right?
Right. Could you give us the model number? We could do a quick look.
Okay. It's Kenmore 158.1787180.
And is that after model number? That's what it says?
The 1787180 is. So I can find all kinds of things for models 1.158 dot something else.
158 is a Sears code for the manufacturer.
Okay. Yeah, so I can find things for that, but 1787180.
Just put it in the chat.
There's a 0 at the end of that, Peter.
Okay.
But otherwise that's.
I'm going to take a quick look. See if I can find.
I mean, Rosie, right?
Probably all the Kenmore 158s are the same. So.
When I've looked at pictures, it's not the same.
Yeah, I love it when you find a place. Oh, send us $6 and we'll send you the machine instructions, and they don't.
Am I keeping you guys on long? Was this supposed to be only an hour?
We don't have anything else to do.
I got to figure out my magnetic switch
undivided
problem.
attention.
I was only curious to know what happened to Nicola and her toaster, because she disappeared into a room and then we never heard any more. So she's either out there, in outer space in a room with her toaster and no one's talking to her, or we fixed it, but I don't know. Did anyone?
Well, no, actually, she's chosen to do a small investment in buying the appropriate tool to remove those screws.
Right.
It's getting too complicated.
She said she will probably join this in another session once she has the tool, and then see if she can fix it. But in the meantime, I gave her a link to a YouTube video that shows details on how to do it.
Did it have those weird screws with the triangular heads then?
It's not a triangular head. It's a weird screw. It's a security screw. It looks like it has a slot, but the center of the slot is closed, so it takes a special screwdriver.
Yep, I know the one. Yeah.
A forked slotted screwdriver.
That's the one. Yeah, yeah. We ended up buying a whole stack of these special screwdrivers so we could get into anything, you know.
Yeah.
If you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
have,
We
there's no way.
don't want you fixing these things. No, sirree. We want you to buy a new one.
You bet. You bet.
Okay, this machine was actually made by Necchi.
Oh, you know what? There's a whole.
That's the one. Who's got that? Yeah, Nick's got it.
I'm going to use this as a flashlight. Could that be an oiling hole?
No, that just looks like a hex head threaded screw on the shaft, right, guys?
It's to lock the shaft, I believe, yes.
Yeah, you're right. It was too dark. I had to use my camera to look at it.
No, I think that Nick is right that if there are plastic parts in there, you shouldn't oil them. But any place you see metal on metal turning, anything, just oil those parts, a little bit.
Yeah, that was my first step with trying to fix it, and it didn't improve anything. But I hadn't opened this. I hadn't seen that hole or that hole at that point.
And I'm still concerned about the underside and the feed dog area, because that's a place where I've seen some machines lock up with lack of lubrication too. Is there's a shaft under there that feeds the feed dogs, and if that isn't lubricated, that too, could be causing this. But I will defer to the
I'm sorry.
No, I'm done.
The feed dog is moving, and I did pull out the where the bobbin case and oiled that.
Okay, excellent.
Previously.
Does it move easier with the bobbin case removed?
I don't know. Let me remove it and see.
And Nick, chime in if I'm doing something nutty here too, please.
Aside from the plastic parts, is there any worry of over oiling?
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously, if you get lots of oil in the machine, then there's a risk of getting it on the fabric when you finally get it going. But you won't cause any further issues.
If you over oil it, you're going to end up attracting dirt and dust into the moving parts, and you really want to avoid that. So if you find yourself having excess oil kind of pooled around, you sort of want to try to wipe it up a little bit with a tissue or something.
I think that Chris has found you a link to a manual, Lisa. It's on the chat. I've just checked it out. It's looks like a place that will let you download it, so you can get it pretty much instantly if you're prepared to pay
for $6.
$6, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure I trust it.
Might be worth $6 though.
No, this looks like it's actually about sewing machines. I'm really disturbed that there's so many sites now. When you search for a manual, you end up going to some spammy phishing site or something. It's a terrible trend. But this one actually looks like it's all sewing machines.
It looked pretty genuine to me, but what do I know?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know anything about it firsthand. I haven't made up my mind whether or not I would trust it. I'm still pondering that.
I think we should let you spend $6, Chris, and we'll watch.
Yeah.
So I took the bobbin case out, and it moved very easily, and then it moved not as easily, worse than it was before all of a sudden. If that makes any sense. It doesn't to me, but that's what happened.
No, say more. Okay, that's very interesting. Say more about that, please.
Okay, so I took the bobbin case out, and then I could move it both directions really easily, and then it got stiff again. And then I moved it forward for a while, and it was, yeah, it seems to kind of, it's hard again, but it seemed to be easy for a minute.
When you say that when it was actually easy to turn, were you able to get a full revolution on the flywheel, or was it hard after you turned it a certain angle?
Oh, I wish I had noticed that. It does.
Because I mean, you would have noticed that there are, I mean, the flywheel, for instance, and the main shaft is turning a full revolution all the time, whereas there are other parts, like the feed dog, which are actually going backwards and forwards.
Right.
Which so if something's sticking over a, you know, just an angle, that might be more something in the feed dog area, you know, one of the backwards and forwards parts, rather than one of the continuous fully rotating parts.
Okay.
And most of the backwards and forwards parts are underneath.
It's hard for me to. Okay, it's hard there.
So I found a YouTube video, and it's how to clean and oil a Sears Kenmore 158 series sewing machine, general maintenance and feed dog issue. And basically they show different views, the guy's cleaning dust out and putting oil different places. So this might, you know, by following it, you'd be able to get all the different places you need to lubricate. And I'll copy the link and put it into the chat.
Okay. I'm gonna copy those links. Yeah, I'm having trouble. I'm sorry. I have repetitive stress injury in my wrist too. So it's like, is it getting harder or is it just hurting me more?
Yeah.
So.
Well, don't injure yourself doing this, Lisa.
That's not
determined.
We're not in the business of fixing the stuff and trashing the user in the process. That's not good.
It feels like it's harder.
Is there any way you could show us the machine rather than you? Like, can you?
I won't take that personally.
Yeah, no, I mean...
You want to look at the
motion sickness?
Sorry. Is this what you want to look at?
Ah. Yes, that's the hook ring.
So.
Nice. It's a continuously rotating hook rather than oscillating hook. That's.
Sorry, yeah, I'm hand holding it to get the machine, so it's hard for me to. Now it feels harder.
Yeah, so you can see there are some, I mean, you can see there, you've got the hook, which is turning continuously, and behind it is the assembly that operates the feed dog, which is going backwards and forwards.
Yeah. So it feels like like it's not so bad, and then it gets bad again. So it doesn't seem to be within one revolution. It seems to be after a certain amount of revolutions.
Now that's an interesting thing. Now that's the sort of thing that might happen if there was a load of thread jammed up in something somewhere.
Right.
If it was only turning, if it was always the same point in the revolution, it might have been something. It might be a sticking feed dog or part of the feed dog drive. But if it's turning for 2 or 3 turns and then sticking, that could be that there's a pile of thread gone down the inside of it somewhere.
I'd feel better if we could see what's going on underneath.
That I'd like to see that as well.
Exactly.
You want me to take the bottom off?
Yep.
Can you take the bottom off?
Yeah.
Also, one revolution of the bobbin won't necessarily be the same as one revolution of everything else.
Well, no, it's a continuously rotating hook. So I suppose that might be going at twice shaft speed.
Okay, I'm taking the bottom off. Hope I remember how to put it all back together.
I will sort that out later.
Yeah, Lisa, you understand that anything we do here could make it worse.
Oh yeah. I understand that about everything I do with things, so that's fine. It's
Thank
not
you for
really
being such a
useful
good
now,
sport.
And seriously, tell me if I'm taking too much of your time. I'm okay with this.
Well, when there's no one left on the screen but you, you'll know when you're done. Some of us are very good at multitasking. I'm writing some Python code as we're talking, so.
This is where the Discord server would come in really, really good, right? So that we could have Lisa on this and a bunch of people from around the world. But look, the main thing is that we figured out it's not the motor, okay? And that's important because we would have given her a bad diagnosis.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
And Lisa, do you remember, was it an English sewing machine whisperer or an American sewing machine whisperer? Because there were two. Cece. She's usually very good with this stuff.
She kind of was like a human fairy kind of looking woman. If that makes sense. I say with respect, not out of jest.
The fairy godstalker.
Right.
Yeah. Her name was something about like that.
Yes.
Okay, here's the bottom.
Oh.
All right.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mine that nylon bit.
Sewing machine knife.
Yeah, that's the place.
Yeah, there's a lot of plastic in here.
Yes, that's the place not to put the oil.
And there's plastic over here too.
All right, turn the flywheel and show us what's good.
That's not nice. That's got plastic bevel gears. I hate plastic bevel gears.
I think that's maybe why she said, okay, I'm turning the flywheel.
Look carefully for when it gets stuck, stiff.
Yeah, so can you see any of those bits that are going backwards and forwards down there? Do any of the movement of any of those tie up with the stiffness?
So it's been fairly loose, and now it's starting to get a little stiffer. I don't see the up and down.
It's to your left.
Over here? Oh, sorry.
No, keep going.
Over here or here?
Down to, no, the other side of the machine.
Yeah, the opposite to that one. Yeah, keep going down that shaft because there's a forky thing on a cam.
Here?
Yes, there's that fork that's going on a cam, for instance. Does that look like it might be?
Oh, it just felt like a weird catch just then.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, yeah, there's a catch right here.
What the?
Yeah, it seems to catch when that goes down. But what do I have going up on top here, though? I have also got this.
Could we get a close look at those gears further down the shaft?
Those?
Is that driving the hook ring? Do those gears look as if they're all in one piece?
Here?
Yeah, because I'll tell you, because what a horrifying fault that happens on the shades. It's that particular age of machine when they were just between metal and plastic, and so you get metal joints that need oiling, and you've got things like those plastic gears. What can happen if oil gets into those gears? The gear swells, and then sometimes can shatter against the other gear, which is really horrible.
And what do those gears need some kind of a grease, a lithium grease, or
white lithium grease?
Silicone. But no, generally they don't. Generally they just, what they want is no oil.
No oil, okay.
Can you see that they're discolored? I don't know if that matters.
That's not too, I mean, the thing's probably 50 years old. That's not a big deal.
Is that, oh, that's not an oil port there, okay. Is there an oil port at the very left?
No, that's a grub screw, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think that's a screw.
How come nobody's told her to lubricate that forky cam thing yet? Because that's where she says it's catching.
Here? I'm sorry, here?
Yes.
It feels like it's catching there.
Put a little oil in there.
Well, I think it's what it's pushing against might be stuck in the middle.
Yeah, well, that's probably driving the feed dog, isn't it?
Exactly. So maybe the feed dog has some thread stuck around it.
Yeah, so that it's where, so underneath what's moving this is bigger on one side than the other, and so it's like catching when the big side is rubbing against the back ends there. See that?
Yep.
So with the cam worn out?
Put a drop of oil on the cam and see.
So where in underneath this thing?
Sure. Yeah, inside the fork.
Sure.
Top of the cam.
Now that's a place I would expect to put grease because that's got quite a lot of force on it.
Yeah. Yeah, and she can do that, but a drop of oil right now would prove.
Oil, yeah, for the moment, oil would do.
So put oil in here.
Yeah, just a bit.
Yep. In between.
Put the camera down for a minute.
Yep. In between the surfaces that rub on each other.
You don't need much, just a tiny.
Just a drop.
Those parts look alarmingly like aluminium alloy or something, don't they? That's not a nice bearing, aluminium on aluminium.
No, it's still got that. It's still got that little catch.
So I would suggest now we look. Yeah, now we look in the middle bits where the sewing happens, and look inside where the feet are. See, there's some stuff stuck in there. So flip it back up.
On the bottom here?
No, in the where you would sew, where the needle is.
I think he means the upper side.
Upper side. Yeah, flip it back up.
Yes, yes. We were looking at the hook ring and the back of the feed dog just now.
Flip it up, put it on its side, and show you.
Those bar stools are a great color.
Oh.
What is that, raspberry?
Straight from a bar, huh?
And they match the handle of the scooter.
Yep.
All right. So, oh my gosh, I think I have this on there. So you want me to tilt it up or just show from?
Yeah, just tilt it up, sure.
Oh, that's it.
And
okay.
Is this camera in a tablet or something?
The camera? No, it's a. I tried to show you on the computer.
Is it separate? It's a separate camera, is it?
Yeah, it's one that you just mount on top of the screen.
Yep. Oh yeah, if it's in a tablet or something, you're doing very well. No, we did one the other day in Reading where somebody had a phone and we got them to come on both the phone and the tablet and then use the phone as an extension camera, which I thought was quite a neat trick.
Yep.
If I had a smartphone, I would do that. That's how non-technical I am. I don't even have a smartphone. Okay.
No, you don't have to. Entirely optional.
So now tell us when it feels stiff as you turn it.
Oh.
So it feels loose and then it just started to stiffen up. It's progressively getting stiffer. It's not a like.
Wow.
In a certain spot.
That sounds like thread caught up somewhere, doesn't it? If it's lifting up, it's something that's got caught in the works and is winding round.
Right.
But it would get
some vital piece of this has eaten a lot of thread at some point in its history.
I feel like I've seen the whole innards of this almost. I don't know where it could be.
Is it getting easier to turn now from the time you started when you took the belt off?
Oh man, I don't know. My wrist is telling me no. See, I mean, like once yes, it is. Sorry, it is easier than when we started.
Why don't you put the belt back on and let the motor turn it?
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Give your wrist a rest.
Yeah, just keep your fingers out of the hook.
Put the belt on. Because you put oil all over the place, running it from the motor will spread it out and make you maybe loosen it up.
So we need to figure out if there's a way to pull out the bobbin cradle, right? You know, she's got the bobbin out underneath that bobbin. So if there's going to be thread caught up in it at this point, you think it's underneath the bobbin, right?
There are screws in there.
the bobbin holder is not in there, is it? The bobbin holder's been taken out.
Right.
Yeah,
So I took out this.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's out. That's
There are
fine.
a couple screws in there.
Yeah, but that's the hook ring. You
Yeah, I wouldn't bother with that.
Don't do that.
can't
Okay.
do anything with that. Well, you
All
could.
right, I've got
but
it.
it's time.
I've got the belt back on.
So let's plug it in and just gently press the pedal.
Yes, keep your fingers out of the moving bits and give it a whiz.
Okay. Okay. The drum roll.
Mm-hmm.
I'll turn on the power button. How's that?
All right. Add to the suspense.
Whoa.
Oh.
That
Do it
didn't sound
again.
good. What?
Nice of that.
Just do it again.
Sounds like the
Oh, that's
Okay, this is
the
a
belt is
skipping
loose.
gear. It's a
Belt.
gear skipping.
Yeah.
That sounds like a stripped gear.
Yeah.
It's a toothed belt, right?
Yeah,
So maybe the belt's not on correctly.
could be.
Mm-hmm.
I could have done it wrong.
It's not that. It wasn't
It
that
does
stiff.
not feel as tight as it did before. It should go around. Turn it off.
What if she tries a different setting
I
rather than
didn't.
straight stitch?
No, it's best to keep it simple because on straight stitch you're moving the minimum amount of the machine. Once you start on any of the zigzags or more complicated ones, you're then moving the whole needle carriage sideways. So it's probably better to deal with the straight stitching first, and if there's an issue on the needle carriage, we can sort that out later.
Yep.
So I didn't actually screw the bottom back on. It's just sitting on there. That shouldn't make a difference, should it?
No, that's okay.
We can
be
see
okay.
the motor in the belt up a little bit.
What's that?
Up a little so we can see the motor in the belt. You're showing us the plug.
Sorry, I'm trying to look at the machine and there we
There
go.
you go. So,
So I just pushed it back a little. Let me turn it off while I'm doing this.
is the belt seem tight or it looks really loose.
It does not feel as tight as it did before.
Yeah, so
So I've got it around here. It should be on the outside of this one. Is that correct?
Is that an adjuster? There's probably some kind of adjuster on it.
That looks like a tensioner right there.
That's an idler, yeah.
Because it was tighter than this when I took it off.
Yeah, oh, it should be on the inside.
Should it be on the inside of that one?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And that might be on a spring. That's a tensioner that pushes against the smooth side of the belt.
It looks like there's some adjustment on the motor position as well, doesn't it? It's making it on a slot.
It should be.
Right. But notice how we all right away heard that sound and know that belt, the tooth belt, is slipping, right?
Yeah.
By the
It's
sound.
very obvious.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not. There's something not.
Sorry about the motion sickness too.
I mean, it should turn over a lot easier than that. But there's still something not.
Yep.
Right.
So
Okay,
yeah, there's the noise.
All right, make it go faster. Push the pedal harder.
What was that?
Push the pedal.
Full speed ahead.
Well,
that's full speed.
Oh no! There's something quite well jammed up in that, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the sound that brought me to this point.
Okay.
That's what
Something
we
is
can tell. Is
jamming the mechanical.
obviously harder to turn than we're thinking.
I'm very strong.
Your wrist must be stronger than we thought.
Exactly.
Is it possible she has the bobbin winder engaged? Is it possible that, this doesn't make, at this point so guys, if we were there, we would be all over this. Okay. This is where these virtual Fixit clinics fail, is because, we're very motor cortex driven. We want to basically be able to hold it and shake it, and we know what's not right by handling it, but Lisa doesn't.
We want to feel
Well, here's the thing too, is sorry about the bobbin winder. I don't even know how to use the bobbin winder on this. So it could be engaged and I don't know, because I don't even know how to engage and disengage it.
All right.
It shouldn't be very difficult to tell. You see where the winder is on top. Should be right on the right-hand top side somewhere.
But even then, the bobbin winder's in the top casing, isn't it?
It's in the case, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not engaged.
Yeah, so it's definitely not engaged because it's not even on the machine.
So it's not an issue.
So that's
All
not
right.
it.
So one more deep dive into the mechanism that moves the needle up and down. See if there's anything bound in there or it needs some.
You should take the belt off.
Yeah, because you gave us the hint that it was getting stuck in a particular phase of the up and downness, which makes me think something inside the part that moves the needle up and down, which we have.
So Lisa, you live in Lakewood, right? Lakewood, Colorado?
Yes.
How far away is that from Boulder?
30 miles. Why, you want me to drive it up there?
No, I'm just thinking if and when they resume, like, don't throw this out. I mean, if for some reason we can't get it going, you got to believe it's easy. Either did a shaft break? I mean, or bend? Did a shaft bend?
No, it's more likely that there's a massive load of thread caught around the hook or something like that. Yeah, around the hook drive.
So at this point, is this an exercise for the reader? I mean, should she just do a proctology exam on this sewing machine?
Listen, you have to, one way or another, have to find where it's binding.
There we are. Yep. So any place to lube in here, we see.
So I lubricated in here, any place I could find.
Okay.
Metal on metal.
Well, there are, yes. I mean, there'll be a crank that's operating on the needle bar.
Sorry.
Nick, you have all these names for sewing machine parts. That's awesome. I know none of these things.
Well, I did say at the beginning of this, I have 12 sewing machines ranging from an 1895 one up to a number of domestics and this ridiculous gigantic industrial here. And I service industrials for a couple of people in our Let's scheme. We have a local exchange trading system, and I service industrials for a couple of people.
Yeah, no, we're definitely tapping into what is an art here for sewing machines when we're beyond
I am,
the simple repairs we know. Yeah.
I also do quite a bit of sewing. I don't just tinker with the things. I do actually use them. But in case you wondered,
so Nick, what are some lube points in here that we're missing? See you, Mark. Thanks for coming.
Oh, so yeah, you can see.
So yeah, it's easier right now. I lubed in here where I see metal and metal together.
The trouble is that disc that sets the foot tension is in the way, but you can see. Yeah, I'm not saying you should take it off. I'm just saying it's in the way. Yeah, so you can see that there's a crank that's coming off the main shaft and operating the up and down needle movement, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you don't need that. Yes, that's not relevant. It just gets in the way visually.
I just wanted to see what it did.
it adjusts the pressure on the foot.
On the foot.
I've been wanting to know how to do that. Okay.
Well, so okay.
If you were doing some thin silky stuff, you turn it right down, and if you were doing like thick tough stuff, you turn it up.
Right now, I just couldn't figure out how to adjust it before, and it's right there.
You can see.
If we were to continue in this sort of decomposition exercise, right? If we remove that second belt, would that tell us whether it's upper or lower to look in?
No, don't remove the second belt.
All right, so how can we isolate this to up?
The second belt is if you did that, you'd have to reset the timing.
You can lose the timing. Good point. So how can we isolate top, bottom, left, right here? Because we're still all over the place. We don't know where the binding is.
Should I just wait until I can bring this to Boulder?
Well, I would buy some more clothes then between now and then if you need any. But,
well, I'm borrowing the machine from my theater where I work. So if the theater's not going to open before the Fixit clinic.
Lisa, what theater are you associated with?
Curious Theater Company.
Oh, cool! I've been to Curious shows. I miss going to theater.
Great.
All right.
So guys, we're at a place where we think there's some. It's very interesting because it's not in synchronicity with any rotation. It binds up after a while, and I love the idea that there's some piece of thread caught up in there somewhere.
I would go for thread around the hook ring. I mean, on the basis, it's unlikely that a lot of threads got into the top of the machine. Gravity, for instance, is a reason why it's more likely to have landed somewhere in the bottom.
Is the hook ring the part that makes the stitch happen. It grabs the thread.
That's the bit that catches the loop. You can see, you can actually see that it goes around the outside of the bobbin hole. The bobbin hole is now out, and earlier on you could see the hook turning round.
Right. It's the pimple next to the gudgeon, right below the main halyard. I understand.
Yep. Yes, that's the hook ring. And as a basic rule of thumb, if you're worried about the timing, the hook should go past the needle just at the point when the needle is raised by about 2 millimeters, and that's the same on any machine. I mean, the different manuals will tell you different things, but that'll tell you whether something slipped. If the hook's going past and the needle's way up in the air or still down or something, then there's something majorly wrong with the timing.
So the hook is under the foot, right? Oh, what? Up high?
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that there's a timing error on this. This is part of the idea of educating people while you're talking them through the machine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, it does go by when it's
stuck
up high.
down in there somewhere, right? We think there's some piece of thread, some knot of thread stuck down there somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, but if it might be interesting to just look at the hook. What should happen is that the needle comes down to its lowest point, and then if you turn slowly, if the needle's lifted by about 2 millimeters, that should be just about the same time as the point of the hook goes past the end of the needle. It might be.
And it also crosses when the needle's up high. It goes by.
Yes, because it's that. Yes, well, it's like a wasted. It's doing a wasted hook operation, if you like. The thing's going around twice as fast. But so it'll do one that's nowhere near the needle, but what it should be doing is going past the needle just when it's lifted by about 2 mils.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Yeah. So in other words, whatever else has happened, we haven't got slip timing. And that's a useful thing to know as well. If we haven't got slip timing, then a belt hasn't jumped, because that's something that could happen with a jam up. Is that the timing belt could have jumped and it hasn't. So whatever else is wrong with this, we know some things that aren't wrong with it.
I need to let you guys go. I think.
All right. Yeah. So let's wind this up for today. I mean, Lisa, you can always come back. And I know it's if you're willing to, I'd love to move this to the Discord server at some point or something to have people work on it there. Is your son a gamer? Do you let him use Discord?
Yes, he is.
All right. So like maybe I'll send you an invite to the Discord channel, and we'll see what happens there too.
Okay. I don't know what you even mean by that.
Your son will know.
Channel.
So it's a here we're doing same time, different place collaboration, right? We all have to be at the same time. On Discord, different time, different place. Right, kind of like email, but with pictures in an ongoing thread for multiple people to look at. So, hey, Lisa, could you show us a picture of the bobbin thingy? Right? And you post a picture, and then 2 hours later, someone says, oh, I see a piece of thread sticking out. Go pair of tweezers and pull that out. Okay, that wasn't it. So, could we solve a problem like this over different time and different space by sharing pictures and information? It's an experiment. You're a good.
But Wayne, it's got both. It's both. It's got video and audio there too. I mean, that's how the gamers are using it.
Exactly. So
the idea is that we could all, I am Nick and say, Nick, we're all meeting in the Discord server with Lisa in 20 minutes. Can you be there?
Yeah. No,
something like that.
One of the things you might find is that what you've just oiled a whole lot of things that you possibly haven't oiled before. And you might find that tomorrow the oil might have percolated into some of the bits that have been really dried out. And it might even improve with time.
Okay.
Fair enough.
But it might not as well, but better to live in hope.
So it's not necessarily instantaneous?
Well, if they're really dried out, I mean, or one of a problem that you won't get on this machine, which I get on some of anything made in the 30s and 40s, for instance, which I have regularly worked on those, and I've got some, were lubricated with sperm whale oil, and that's which is not good for the vegans, but that sets hard, and it can take a machine that's been dried out with whale oil in it can take days to free off.
Yeah,
no.
Probably has.
You are talking to a vegan, by the way.
Yeah. yours is 70s, so it won't have been done with whale oil.
Nick, what I do when I get something like this, and I have exhausted all the normal things, I take a can of WD-40 and spray the hell out of it all over the place.
No,
not for sewing machines.
Not on the nylon cans, you
Listen to me. That's what I do when I run into that. Once I do that, if it loosens it up, I just clean it up with alcohol, with all the places and lubricate it properly, and it works. I've done it a number of times as the last resort, and it did a great job. But you have to clean it up. You cannot just leave it. You have to clean it up with some alcohol.
You can do that on one of those, but you can't do it on a 70s machine. It'll track plastic.
I do it on those two, and that looks like a 15. I have one of those.
No, that's a 66. It's a 1913 model 66.
Yeah, we have a 1931 model 15.
Oh yes, they're nice. I haven't actually got. I've got a Frister Rossmann clone of a 15, but I haven't actually got a native 15. They're nice design.
Yeah. No, and I know what you are saying. You're not supposed to do it, but I just can't find it anywhere. As I say, I just take the WD-40 and spray it. When it loosens everything up, I clean it up and lubricate it properly.
Yeah, so fine with an all-metal machine.
I'll do it with the newer ones too.
You could,
not supposed to, I understand, but it works.
It usually works for me to just ignore the machine for a year or two, and then it will work again. But I don't really.
I think ignore it for a couple of days and leave that. Maybe the oil, if there is hardened stuff, got stuck in some of those sleeve there. It may take a while for the oil to
or disconnect the shaft halfway and see if it loosens it up.
Take a break with your wrist. Don't do any more today. And we've learned a lot. Okay, we moved forward. We determined it's not the pedal. We determined it's not the motor. And we've looked at all these different parts, and now you know how to lubricate it. We may have found you a manual, so there's
have a look at the manual. I think that if I had it here, I would leave it for a day or so and then see whether it freed up, and eventually I'd want to take the hook ring out, but that's what I would do here. I'm on the wrong continent, so that's not.
So you're not going to be in Boulder to help me out when things open up.
That's not going to much use. No, yeah, I'm in the UK, as you know, so that's not going to work. I mean, that's one of the things we have with the Reading Repair Cafe is I'm going to do a quick plug here for we have a Let's scheme, a local exchange trading system, which a number of the repairers and a couple of the sewing people are members of the Let's. And it's a local exchange trading system where you trade units of time. Doesn't matter whether you're an auto mechanic or a sewing machine fixer or somebody who looks after people's dogs or whatever, you trade time units. And what we do, if there's a big job in the repair cafe and somebody gets stuck on it, we often transfer it into the Let's system. And the thing will then come into my house or to somebody else's place, and and the expert will actually work on the thing and then charge the person for the time, and they'll pay it back by minding someone's cat or something.
That's great.
Yeah, we'd love to come up with something. The United States, those sorts of alternative currency systems or trading time banks never took hold, sadly.
There are a number there are some community exchange systems in the US because we use the community exchange software, and there are a number of apparently active community exchange systems in the States, but perhaps not where you are.
No, and for this one, it's going to be hard across the world to make that happen. I don't know how to get you half a dozen eggs for my chickens.
Well, the interesting thing about repair is if you fix something for someone else and it breaks or burns their house down, right, you have a liability. And so we emphasize we're helping you fix it, and it's your responsibility, and we do liability waivers. Right. I mean, if this machine went nuts and started sewing your thumbs together, then, you don't blame Nick for that. But
well, equally, yeah. I mean, yeah.
I'll show you an example.
No,
thumbs together.
Right. If you want to start talking about the inside of let systems, which is something I do know quite a bit about, having been running two for over a long period of time. The idea is that because you're not actually a commercial enterprise, you're not trading for profit, you're exchanging neighbourly help. If your neighbour said to you, "Oh, can you just hold this while I drill a hole in the wall?" and then they had an accident, but it's fairly unlikely that they'd sue you. They'd just go, "Oh, well, I'll claim that on my house insurance," and you were just trying to help me out. And that's the way Let's operates. If you're a professional plumber, you come in and blow somebody's house up or flood it or something like that, you've got insurance, and that's when the commercial liability comes in. But Let's is trading neighbourly help. I hear what you're saying, but in 15 years of being in two Let's systems, and I've never heard of anybody trying to sue anyone or make some claim for some
No, I think you're right. Here's an example. So a friend of mine a few weeks ago says, "Oh, Wayne, it got cold. I plugged in my space heater and I moved it, and it made a sparky sound, and there was a little bit of smoke, and it turned off. What should I do?" I said, "Please don't plug it in again." And a friend of hers brought it to my house, and I took it apart, and it's one of these space heaters that go back and forth. Oh, yeah. And I started taking it apart, and geez, there's actually some connectivity through the cable. I started taking it apart from the top. I should have taken it apart from the bottom because, oops, on the bottom, you take off the cover. On cover. Bad demo here, Wayne. You didn't prep.
Didn't prep it properly.
Oh, I put the screws back in. Dang it.
Oh no.
Anyway, the cord comes through here, and it goes up to the top. This thing is wiggling back and forth. Guess what happens eventually? The wire breaks. It caught fire right down here.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I said, wow, terrible. I looked it up. This was recalled with 100,000 of its cousins in 2007. So a recall for exactly this problem, right? So I could have just shortened the cable and put it back in place, but the material is still the wrong material. I could disable the motor that goes twisty back and forth because that's probably the root cause, but these things are nasty, right? So I don't really want to fix this for a friend. I told her, get in contact with their recall people, and she sent them an email waiting to hear. I'm assuming they're going to say, send this back to us, or here's a coupon for, I don't know, a free whatever. But things like this really can be a disaster if you don't repair it completely correctly. And you can even manufacture these things and get it way wrong. So I worry about stuff like that.
That's where we're going with this. Okay, we're trying to make it so that we get this word back to manufacturers so that the next generation of these consumer devices is made much more durably. And these sorts of design, things don't occur anymore.
Well, I'm sure the people that made this were very upset with their parts procurement person who picked this particular cable because it was low cost.
They didn't care. They went for the low cost manufacturers in China.
This company, Lasco, still has the high rating space heaters on Consumer Reports. Here's the problem.
Yeah.
Nasty, huh?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've seen. During my professional life, I was responsible for electrical safety on 3 hospital sites, and I had to investigate quite a number of interesting accidents. So I've seen some messy things myself.
Yep.
Which is why I think I know what I'm doing, and I'm quite happy to advise other people on electrical safety.
Right. For example, my favorite repair, the thermal fuse. Right. I just ordered more because I'm out of them. I've seen people say, I just bypass it. I'll just, clip a wire. Like, hell no. If this thermal fuse blew at this person's house already, it protected them. So you definitely want
it's like the old put silver paper in instead of the fuse thing, No.
Yeah. Now that I know there are fuses in UK cords, I know where you can put a piece of foil if you're in a hotel room with the lights on. Yeah.
There's the unconventional repair and there's the dangerous bodge, and you have to know the difference.
Look at this. There's even a blob of silicone that came out of the bearing there. And look at the burn. Ugh.
This is another thing. The number of times you go to repair something, and it's not so much how on earth did this go wrong.
Peter got one of these.
it's much more often, how on earth did this work in the first place?
Exactly, exactly.
Look at what Peter has.
What do you got, Peter?
I've got a different model of the same space heater, except that mine, it doesn't have, it has a different type of a base where it doesn't swivel through, right?
And does it rotate?
It rotates, but it doesn't wear it out the way yours wears out because there's no bottom to start with to wear it out.
Right. So what's the right way to do this? Do you put rotating contacts? I mean, what did they do for the spaceship for 2001: A Space Odyssey for the rotating, you know, artificial gravity thing? There must be a whole bunch of electrical connectors that had to spin around for eternity, and not. Anyway, yeah, you know, a slip ring commutator. But you know, if you're handling 10 amps of power for a space heater, that's an expensive part to get that to work. So, yeah, I think your solution's right, Peter. Just have a much bigger space for the cord to flex over time, and when it breaks, I don't know. It's going to eventually break. It's just a question of when. Right, back and forth and back and forth. Crazy stuff. All right,
guys. Well,
we're over time.
Yeah.
Thank you all. This has been entertaining. Lisa, you're a trooper. Thank you for sticking with us.
Thank you, everybody, for.
Thank you for being contestant. Nick, thank you so much for lending your knowledge from across the pond. We were thrilled to have you, and we hope you come back.
Yeah, yeah. And I appreciate everybody's passion and just trying to get through the root cause of things. It's great. So thanks, folks. We'll see you next time. Stay tuned for the next one. Peter will let us know. All right.
Yep.
Bye, all.
Yeah, cheers.